Welcome back, party people. We just got through finished with a great All-Star weekend, and the Super Bowl was a little lackluster. We're going to talk about that as well. And we're in the time of transition here in sports since the Super Bowl is over. It's officially basketball season. All-Star break, like I said, it just happened. We're in the midst of it. Nothing really exciting there in the NBA. I'm going to talk about how we can fix it and bring it back to its rejuvenated state. I've got a hot take for that as well. And then I'll finish up with a slight recap of the Super Bowl. Wasn't really much to talk about. It was a little bit of a boring game, but nonetheless, it's still football, and it's the last of it before August of this year. So we're going to get into all of that. But first things first, this is another great episode of Oh Brother the Podcast. And I'm, of course, your host, Coop, man. We have to talk about this NBA All-Star weekend. First of all, I didn't watch too much of anything. I'm just going to keep it real because the quality of All-Star competition has gone lower and lower and lower from year to year. And this year just reached a peak disinterest to where I just didn't want to watch anything. That being the game where it's a round robin with Team USA versus the world, whatever. It's between the 3-point shootout and the slam dunk contest with no names that I can recognize outside of Jackson Hayes. But he's been an overglorified dunker for throughout the majority of his career. Let's just go. I'm just going to start there. I didn't watch it, to be honest with you. I saw the video where Jason Richardson's son hit his head on the ground, and the winning dunk was something we've seen a bunch of times since, Vince Carter did it through the legs at the dunk contest. Extremely lackluster and just uneventful. To the 3-point shooting contest. We didn't even know it was on until it was over. Damian Lillard, why the hell is he in the 3-point contest anyways? He hasn't played not 1 second of NBA basketball this year. But because he's bored and at home rehabbing, he can shoot in the NBA 3-point contest when you haven't played a single minute of NBA basketball this season, representing the team that you haven't played for in several years, not as you're back with Portland. That's my issue number one. Why the hell do we have participants in the 3-point contest that are not even playing? Well, I wanted to see Dame, and he has a good shot. He's already won it twice. Who cares? I know that it came down to the rack with Devin Booker and against Dame and all that other stuff, and it was a decent contest. But hell, it was on at 5 o'clock, happy hour, on a Saturday afternoon. People are expecting prime time action for NBA and All-Star because that's what it's normally on. But because it has been so shit for the last 4 or 5 years, NBC decided to show Olympic coverage instead of the NBA All-Star Break, the Winter Olympics. You want to know why? Because the Winter Olympics in ratings is killing shit right now. Absolutely killing it. Whereas the NBA is barely bringing in less than 5 million viewers for at the peak of this All-Star weekend. NBC is drawing in 25 to 30 million people per evening for Winter Olympic coverage. So yeah, if I'm NBC2, I'm moving that lackluster All-Star BS up into the happy hour window, and I'm re-showing all the Olympic coverage in prime time because that's where the eyes are, and that's where the advertising dollars will be spent. So I can't blame NBC for this one because I had to do my research. I had to look it up. I said, why the hell would they ever do that? Well, because nobody's watching the NBA and everybody's watching the Olympics. Straight up. Now, a little known notice ahead of time, NBA, to where the time spots have been changed and a little more promotional to make it people aware. Because when I'm talking with people online and my fellow NBA fans, people didn't even realize that the All-Star weekend had started until you got the notification from ESPN or Bleacher Report or for whoever you follow on your devices that Damian Lillard had already won the 3-point contest. We're getting notified of the events happening after effect, which tells you that it hasn't been promoted well. Nobody knows the time slots. And again, I have to have 8 different streaming devices or platforms to watch an NBA game, which can get confusing because if I check 1 or 2 and I don't see any content on, I'm going to go put on a movie. I'm going to go to Netflix. I'm going to go, to other live events. But the fact that I have to Google every time that the NBA is on to figure out which channel is on, it's kind of deflating to me. I can't lie. And then we get to the final game on Sunday, the All-Star game, round robin, 1 quarter of play per game, including the championship game, which I felt like they could have made 2 halves with 2 quarters, but I digress. Interesting enough to keep you intrigued, but too many breaks in between for you to become disinterested or become distracted. Because if this is an event while you got on in the background, let's say you're doing laundry, you're cooking dinner, you're out and about with your friends, just, at the bar or whatever. As soon as the commercial comes on and they rotate games or whatever, now you're doing another layup after a quarter, it's easy to become distracted or disinterested in that product. And for the NBA, my message to them is this: we should not, as fans, have to tell you what your problem is. Not only that, but give you solutions to fix it. We should not have to do that. As fans, we should be able to show up, pay our money, and get an appropriate product for entertainment. And that just hasn't seemed to be the case with the NBA over the last few years. And it's starting to become a watered down, pissed on product. And it's easier to hate this NBA than to love it. Now, how do we fix this All-Star break, Coop? Let me show you guys how to do it. You got to eliminate it altogether. Not completely, but during the season. Give these guys a break, because you see it now more than ever, because they have so many other obligations outside of basketball, family, baby mama drama, sponsorships, agents, what have you, that they're completely exhausted when it comes to this point in the season, especially with the stars who are playing 35, 40 minutes a night, the role players, who are a little bit of banged up and that things of that nature. These guys need an extended break. Give them a week off. Make it closer towards the actual halfway point of the season instead of this 3/4 way, because we're naming the All-Stars who was playing good this season. And that way we have an actual roster of all-stars who performed well throughout the entire season, not just 3/4. Eliminate the All-Star game in the middle of the season, and we move it to the back end of the season, right before the finals. The week before the finals, after the Eastern and Western Conference Championships games are played, there's normally a window of a few days off to give the guys rest, so there's optimal competition come game 1 of the NBA Finals. Sneak the All-Star game weekend festivities into those 3 or 4 days. You make it a spectacle throughout the NBA playoffs where you announce the starters and the reserves. I don't care if you're on vacation. I don't care if you're dilly-dallying, with your first-round bounce team. And then the guys who make the finals, they don't play in the All-Star game, similar to what the NFL does with the Pro Bowl. Now that you moved it to the end of the season, guys are more well-rested because they had an actual for the All-Stars that didn't make the playoffs, you have some time off already. You can get a couple weeks vacation in right then and there. You can come back happy and rejuvenated. You come back, play the All-Star game. You can be a little more competitive, a little more energetic, and then you get paid an additional bonus for being an All-Star and for doing all of your media obligations, Make-A-Wish, kissing babies, shaking hands type of thing. The game will be better. The competition will be better. And the pressure will be off the superstars to perform right then and there in the moment for a useless exhibition game that they're probably going to be at next year anyways. So if the game itself is an exhibition and is useless, the players are going to approach it as such. And then you're wondering why, because it's really not a big deal. The All-Star game is just that. It's an All-Star. It's a display of all the talent throughout the league on one court. Now, if you know and watch a traditional NBA game, do you think all of those talents are going to shine at one point or another in this All-Star game? No, because somebody's going to have to take a back seat to somebody who has a little more prowess in it. It is what it is. Just even in All-Star games, there's levels to this shit. Okay, my thing is this too. We have to stop making such a big deal of the All-Star game because it's still an exhibition game. It's just all the guys that are the most talented person from each and every individual team throughout the NBA have now been collected together to play one game. And that's really it. And we just take advantage of it. Now, with the 3-point contest and the dunk contest, I have a little different strategy about. For the dunk contest, for example, you get one of these viral dunkers, you get Mac McGlung and a TV personality, you get your camera crew, tour the country. You're going to go do a 5 to 6 city tour. You're going to go to your local college or YMCA or big gym that they have in that area, or the professional arena, whatever. Like, say if you go to a major city like Chicago, you can do that United Center. And you put out an APB. I need all the best dunkers in the area to come out, sign up, and show out. And then you have your local city dunk contests, and you pick the best dunkers from each of those 5 to 6 cities. You have them come compete on the day of the All-Star weekend, or pre-recorded. That would probably be easier. But you show the finals on the All-Star weekend, 3 to 4 day windows before the finals start, which would be the new All-Star week that I'm proposing. You do the same thing with your shooters. You take Lethal Shooter, another one of these TV personalities, what have you, and you do the same. You can do the same cities, or you can tour different cities. Go find your best shooters, and then the winner of that 3-point contest can face the winner of the NBA 3-point contest, and then that would make it a little more exciting. Plus, the guy who wins the local 3-point contest can win an X amount of money. Same thing with the dunkers. And in the process, you post all of these videos from city to city on YouTube and on your social media platforms. And then you can grow and expand that way as well. You might not reach the target audience of individuals who are my age and older, but that'll definitely help bring in the youth and help you create a new generation of fans. Because right now you're having trouble doing that. Not only that, it'll help you grow your platforms, and you'll bring in more advertising and revenue via the internet. Reinvest that money and take it into promotions. Notify the people of when the games are going to be on and on what site. There's too many nights throughout the week where I have to guess which channel the game is coming on, because it's all a joke now. Because the broadcast dollars have been spread so thin across so many different platforms. Adam Silver can't even wipe his ass with the check. I feel like the time off in the middle of the season will greatly benefit not only the older superstars in this league, but the young guys as well. It gives them not only a physical recovery throughout the middle of the season, but a mental recovery as well. Because we know how challenging it is on a mental and physical basis to try to reach an NBA championship. We saw Jimmy Butler in the bubble, exhausted, laying on his arm. We saw LeBron giving it his all in the finals just to have point to J.R. Smith like this. Like, bro, it is hard to win an NBA Finals. It takes extreme physical and mental fortitude, which is why we celebrate these guys so much when they win. So why not give them every mental and physical advantage to do so? Because we want to see a exhibition games with all the All-Stars in the middle of the season? Save it. If I can get better basketball on the back end of a regular season and in a playoffs and all I had to do was forego the break that they was going to get anyways, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Move the All-Star break to the back end of the playoffs, right before the finals, have all of it pre-recorded, and then that way, instead of just announcing to the press and sprinkling little tidbits of awards throughout the NBA playoffs, we can know who is MVP, most improved, defensive player of the year, all of that good stuff, with an award ceremony that could follow said All-Star break, said All-Star game. Y'all picking what I'm putting down here? Like this is all a facade for real. All-Star break is. And I feel like the modern day players have just exposed that, which is why some of the older guys take exception, because they felt like they had to work that much harder for the younger guys to be making as much money as they are today, and to be able to take games off and load managed and do all this extra stuff. So that's where the disconnect is between the older generation and the younger generation of guys that's playing today. They felt like they had to work an exceptionally amount harder than what these guys have today and they made a ton less money doing it. Well, the kids today know their worth, and they're not playing for free no more. They're not doing it. They make too much money to play for free. So here's our summary, how we fixed the All-Star break. Move it to a week before the finals. Pre-record a city-to-city tour for local dunkers and shooters. You get your favorite NBA personalities. You get Malika Andrews and some other these other social media stars. They got plenty of them out there. Lethal Shooter and others. Have them go on a tour, pre-recorded, send your production crew with it. It doesn't have to be a major upscale production. It just has to show the best of the best. You're only going to show highlights from each round and do a simple graphic with all of the names and stuff of the people who make the finals. And then you're going to have display the final shootout or dunk out in the respective city. Post it on the internet, grow your social media background at the same time, and then have the finals broadcasted that same weekend of the NBA All-Star, which will be now relocated to a week before the final. And then have the All-Star game played live that same week. And the guys who make the finals that are All-Stars will not play, just like the NFL does. I really think it's that simple. But it's gotten to the point where the NBA has to listen to the fans of how to fix their own problems. And that's not our job, Adam Silver. That's yours. And you have completely lost your way with that. We don't want another tournament. We don't want another reorganization. We don't want none of these. We don't want that. We don't want tournaments. This is NBA. The only tournament we want to see is the NBA playoffs. Best of 7. And you need to cut the first round back down to first of 5. Best of 5. Because more than likely or not, whoever's playing the 1 or 2 seeds is getting smoked 4-0, 4-1. 2 extra games that we don't need to see you play. Y'all let me know down in the comments. How do you like my All-Star change idea? I think it could work easily, just like that. Because you change it to that, and they still don't show up and play. You don't pay them. Simple as that. And also to add on to it, you need to play the minimum 65 games to be recognized as an All-Star. That's how we fix the load management issue. You are already on the right track with having only been to play the minimum amount of games to receive all NBA odds, which affects contract negotiations going forward for Supermax. Great job. I will say that. But you had that as additional as being an All-Star. The guys gonna get off their ass and play because they love being recognized as an All-Star. For most guys that are just really good in the NBA, that's probably their biggest accomplishment. That's how we fix the All-Star game. So you guys let me know down in the comments how you would fix the All-Star game, and if you agree with my way that it would help guys not only down the stretch of the season, but to help make a more competitive All-Star break. I love the NBA, man. I love to watch the games, but the way that this is going, we're going down a rabbit hole that we won't be able to crawl out of for decades. I don't think tanking is a problem. I do think load management is a problem, because if I'm coming from wherever to wherever, and I spent my hard-earned money to travel, park, eat, and pay for tickets, and I'm coming to see a certain superstar or team, and then that such and such is not playing tonight, that is a devastating blow, because you're not getting money back because the superstar is not playing on the other team, because this is their 4th game in 6 nights or whatever. I don't get to see my favorite player, and for that, they should be ashamed of themselves. Load management is the issue. I don't believe tanking is the issue, because tanking is the only way that you can get better quickly in the NBA. You want to know why? Because you don't reward the losing teams with guaranteed draft picks. Because there was collusion. There was collusion and other stuff happening in previous drafts, a la the Knicks get Patrick Ewing. The Cavs, they just get LeBron James. The Magic just gets Shaquille O'Neal. When they weren't the worst teams prior to that season. There's already been I wouldn't say hundreds, but there's already been documented of plenty of stories of how we know the NBA lottery is rigged. And you're not even hiding it anymore. So if you're not going to hide the fact that you're rigging the lottery, and then you re-rig it to not give teams that are actually stinking the draft picks, and you to punish them for tanking, like the Wizards, the Hawks, it doesn't make sense. Give the bad teams the good players, and let's figure it out from there. Because at the end of the day, these guys still have to make the right draft pick, one, and two, they got to develop these guys. A lot of these teams struggle with development, including the last two teams that I just mentioned. The Hawks, the Wizards, constantly in top of drafts, but never in the playoffs. I wonder why. They don't draft well, they don't develop well. Just because you make the right selection, he's still got to get NBA good or play the role that you want him to play and be good at it. Tanking is not the issue in the NBA. Load management is. Tanking is the only way that you can, like the Rockets did appropriately, draft 3 starters in 3 years, trade for a superstar, and now you're a top 4 team in the West. We wanted to take trades for 3 years, drafted 3 starters, and then traded for Kevin Durant. And look at us now. But yet we also took Şengün, who is a second-round draft pick, and he's damn near he's pretty much our best player from Turkey, an international player that we didn't know much about, but the guy was absolutely incredible. Again, you got to make the right draft picks, and you still have to develop them, which people don't understand that. Just because you have a high draft pick doesn't guarantee you wins moving forward. I mean, I know the Memphis Grizzlies and the New Orleans Pelicans are filling that draft with their superstars, Ja Morant and Zion. Just because you have a high draft pick doesn't guarantee that your team is going to be successful. A lot of things have to work out in the right place. So do not hinder the bad teams from getting good draft picks. Give them the draft picks because they still have outstanding circumstances working against them for that draft pick to not even work out, because it's not a guarantee that that draft pick works out. You don't understand that there's busts? People who just don't pan out in the NBA. That's the thing. You look every year, they look at these guys who are top 3, 4 in the draft as guaranteed superstars or future all-stars in the NBA, when that's not the case at all. If the teams want to be sorry, let them be sorry. They ain't doing nothing but pissing off their own fans. They're the ones that's going to suffer the revenue loss. They're the ones not selling tickets or concession stands. I mean, you're already handing them a check every year with revenue that guarantees them profit. Same issue that they're having in Major League Baseball. The bad teams refuse to get better because they don't want to spend money. Same thing in the NBA. Some teams can't even draw good free agents and stuff like that because of where they're located. Like Utah, you had to build them organically. And if that's the case, more reason for them to get the draft picks that they're owed. Adam Silver, let me know if you guys like tanking, man, because I surely do. That's the only way that we went from James Harden to now the Kevin Durant era in Houston in a matter of 3 seasons. Granted, I was in hell for those 3 seasons. Every time I would look at my phone, every night the Rockets were playing, we were getting beat by 20 points or more. And it was sad. It got to the point where in the 3rd year where I just had to turn the notifications off because I knew we were losing that night. Didn't matter who we was playing. I'm moving on, man. We had a great Super Bowl. Very boring one. Lackluster scoring through the first 3 quarters, dating back to that Rams-Patriots Super Bowl where it was just dry as hell. It was like a 13-10 final or something like that. It was the same vibes, man. Kenneth Walker did his thing on the ground. He punished him on the ground. Patriots couldn't protect Drake May. Played can't lose football. He didn't play great at all. Neither quarterback played great at all. Both teams played not to lose. Seahawks had a much better and stellar defense, and their kicker made kicks. It was just simple as that, man. It felt like a regular Sunday night game than it did the Super Bowl, more than anything. And that's really what it came down to. They ended up giving Kenneth Walker the MVP, well-deserved. What I didn't understand is why they was parading Sam Darnold around with Kenneth Walker just because he was the quarterback. And he played like ass. Kenneth Walker's the MVP, but we got to parade the quarterback around with him too. I just didn't understand that. I didn't understand that. I understand he the quarterback and the face of the franchise or what have you, but the well-deserving MVP is going to Disneyland. Let him take all the interviews and the fame and the shine solo. Why not? That's what y'all normally do. He's the MVP. When the defensive player wins MVP, I don't see the quarterback up there with him or the receiver, but I digress. You guys let me know if you enjoyed down in the comments. Super Bowl, AllStar Break, dunk contest, 3-point contest, and any other All-Star festivities that went on this past weekend. I really appreciate you guys for, checking out my thoughts, man, on a weekly basis and understanding where I'm coming from as a fan from week to week with some of these teams and sports. It can be frustrating sometimes, man. And I like having this platform to let my grievances known. So you can do me a huge favor, man. Hit that like button right now. Right now, if you haven't done so already, that does me a huge favor. Send this to somebody that you think would like this content in front of them. And man, make sure you hit that notification bell down there at the bottom so you guys get notified every time I post on YouTube here. So that I'm gonna wrap it up just like that. This has been another great episode of Oh Brother, the podcast. I'll catch you next time, folks.